How do you become wealthy? This is a question I asked my mentor almost 20 years ago. And I was really thrown off by the answer he gave me back then because I thought he was going to say, you need to work really, really hard. What he actually said was wealthy people understand leverage. They understand how to leverage time, money, and people. So that's what we're going to go over today. What did he mean by that, and how do we use this so that we can be on a path to wealth ourselves? But first, please hit the like button, subscribe. We are on a mission to help as many people achieve financial freedom as possible. And the more this channel grows, the more we're hitting our mission. And this really helps. It gets us out past the YouTube algorithm. So please help us out, and let's get into the video. Let's start with leveraging money, because I think that's the most commonly known use when we talk about leverage. And that's when we use borrowed money to increase our return. You see it a lot in real estate. You can invest on margin with stocks. You can finance equipment if you have a business. And it's the idea that you can have less money in a deal to increase your return. And I think an example that really helps illustrate this is if you owned an asset that was worth $100,000 and it appreciated by 10%, and you only put $20,000 into the deal and borrowed $80,000, well, that 10% appreciation earned you a 50% return on your money, as opposed to only a 10% return if you bought the whole thing in cash. Now, something to remember with leverage is you do have to pay for it. There is interest on it. So technically it would be a little bit less than 50%, but the return is always going to be a lot more when using debt if the deal is done correct. The same rule applies when you're investing on margin. So let's say you had $50,000 in your traditional brokerage account and you wanted to open a margin account which allowed you to purchase up to 50% of a stock's purchase price. So your $50,000 can buy you now $100,000 worth of stock. Well, if that stock appreciates, you can pay back your loan and then actually make a higher return off your $50,000 than if you would have just bought $100,000 worth of stock with your own money. The thing about debt, it can be incredibly powerful to increase your return. It can also be powerful to take your money as well. So you have to use it responsibly. On the margin example, let's say the stock didn't appreciate, it actually went down. Well, you put yourself at risk of them issuing a margin call, or basically calling the loan due. And if you aren't able to pay the funds, your broker can actually liquidate your position and leave you with potential big losses. Same thing can happen in real estate. So you want to make sure that when you're using debt, you're using it responsibly. And if you're going to take on kind of a higher leverage position, make sure you're aware of all of the risk and that you're very comfortable taking on that risk, knowing what could happen if things go bad. The second component of leverage is time. And successful people have a different view of time. They're very aware that their time is limited, that they only have 24 hours in a day, and that their time is valuable, so they use it really wisely. Where other people kind of think they have an infinite amount of time, so kind of squander away their 24 hours doing things that do not produce the highest results. As someone who's a saver and is more frugal, I actually kind of struggle with this one because I had a hard time outsourcing or paying somebody to do something, knowing I could do it myself and save money. For example, anytime we wanted to do anything in the house, paint the walls, I wouldn't hire somebody to paint. I would do it myself. I would mow the lawn. I would wash my car because it was hard for me to justify paying somebody, let's say $75 a month to do my yard, knowing I could just do that and save the $75. But the problem with that is I wasn't valuing my time or what my time was worth. So if that took me an hour, I wasn't asking myself, could I be doing something else in that hour that would actually earn me more than the $75 that I was paying? And when I started understanding that, then I started feeling more comfortable about actually paying people to do things. For example, washing your cars. I used to always wash my car. Now we have somebody come to the office. They wash our cars while we're at our office working. I pay him $40 knowing that my hour working, I can make more than the $40 I'm paying him. So I think it's good for us to remind ourselves that there is a value to our time. And if you're outsourcing something for a certain dollar amount, that is what you're valuing your time as. So that was a big shift that happened once I started understanding the value of time. Now, for anyone getting started who might not have money yet to hire things out, there are things you can do free of cost that can help you be more efficient with your time. Couple examples. Spend the weekend planning out your next week. And as you're organizing it, keep in mind that you want to be as efficient with your time as possible. So if there's any areas where you are wasting time or not seeing a big result, move that off the books. If you have a meeting, make sure you're there on time. Make sure you have an agenda. Be mindful of the value of everyone else's time. So when somebody gets off topic, know that you need to rein them back in so that you keep people on track. Have action items after the meeting so everybody's there, knows what they need to do, and move on. A huge one for me that I had to learn was learning how to say no. If somebody comes and needs a favor of you, keep in mind that you may have things to do and those things are gonna suffer by saying yes, and you may just have to say, no, I can't do this. Actually, I remember there was one time we all went skating with Chris Cole. It was like me, Malto, P-Rod, Cole. And a lot of times when we would go skate, somebody would be trying a trick, and we'd all be kind of hanging out. And I remember we're sitting there, and I looked at Chris, and I was like, hey, should we all go get dinner after this? And he was like, dude, I would love to, but if we're not skating, I'm out of here. I'm going straight home because I want to hang out with my kids. And I remember the first time he said, I was like, damn, okay, like, you're not on the bro sesh. But really, he was doing a really good job valuing his time based on his priorities, and his higher priority was wanting to hang out with his kids over having dinner with his friends. So then that ended up turning into any time we were skating and then there was downtime and no one was skating, he was out of there. He was so efficient. So there are a lot of ways that you can be more mindful of your time and leverage your time better, even if you're not able to pay for it at that moment. The third component of leverage is people, learning how to leverage people, using others' connections, others' time, and others' expertise. And I remember Randy explained this one to me more on the financial management side when I was younger. And he said, look, with financial management, you have two options. You either educate yourself or you hire the education. And that one kind of always stuck with me. I think I always liked the idea that I could bring people on that were great at things I wasn't. And I think that's why I've always been a big believer in partners. And I think Commune's actually a perfect example for this. I could have started Commune by myself and basically worked on it and did the things that I am not great at to get to the point of finally being able to hire one person. And then that would have just kind of kept going and kept going. But instead, I started it with 4 people who were great at areas that I was weak at, and vice versa. I offered something that they were not good at as well. And by doing so, we were able to grow at a much faster pace where now we're managing over $100 million of real estate. Maybe I'd be managing 3 million if I did this on my own. So your ability to grow with great people, it's exponential, the amount of time it takes to get there. The thing I'll add about leveraging people, you want to bring people into your world that are better than you, that are smarter than you. You actually want to be the weakest one in the group. And that's actually hard. Like, that hits the ego because you are threatened by somebody being better than you are. But it's good to remind yourself what the goal is. The goal actually isn't me being the greatest. The goal is the team being the greatest. And so just be mindful that you're going to be challenged by bringing great people on. Check the ego, bring them on anyway, and watch the total team soar because of it. So to wrap it all up, the way to wealth is leverage, learning how to leverage money, time, and people. And what you're gonna see is even now understanding this concept, when you're gonna be out, you're gonna start doing due diligence or taking inventory on your time. And just watch what it does. You're gonna see how much more efficient you're gonna be just having this in the back of your mind. So thank you guys for being here. We will see you guys next week.